Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's discussion. We are here to address a significant and often contentious question. Should schools have the authority to remove certain books from library access? Joining us to explore this topic are two distinguished guests. Mr. David Chen, a dedicated school board member, will argue in favor of schools having this authority. And Dr. Olivia Grant, an experienced school librarian, will argue against it. Welcome to you both.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. It's a pleasure to be here to discuss this important matter. Let me begin by stating clearly that I, and those I represent, deeply value our school libraries and the access to information they provide our students. However, we must also acknowledge the fundamental responsibility of any educational institution, the welfare and appropriate development of its students. This responsibility naturally extends to ensuring that all materials available, including library books, are suitable for the diverse developmental stages and sensitivities of our K-12 student population. We cannot overlook the crucial role of parents. Their rights to guide their children's education and upbringing must be respected. Furthermore, community standards and values inevitably play a part in shaping the educational environment we provide. Therefore, when we speak of a school's authority to remove a book, it's not an act of censorship we're advocating for. Rather, it's about responsible curation and selection, a process akin to how we carefully develop and approve our curriculum. It's about ensuring our libraries remain safe, supportive, and educationally sound spaces for every child. This is our primary duty.
Thank you, Ms. Reed and Mr. Chen. I appreciate the opportunity to present a different perspective on this critical issue. At the heart of this debate lies the principle of intellectual freedom, a cornerstone of any democratic society, and our school libraries are vital training grounds for this freedom. These libraries must be sanctuaries where students can safely explore a multitude of ideas, encounter diverse perspectives, and grapple with challenging topics under guidance. To remove books, particularly those that offer different viewpoints or reflect varied human experiences, is to engage in an act of censorship. Such actions can severely limit our students' ability to develop essential critical thinking skills, to cultivate empathy, and to understand the complex world they will inherit. We must also recognize the professional expertise of qualified librarians. We are trained to select materials that are not only engaging, but also support educational goals, cater to a wide range of reading levels and interests, and reflect the diversity of our global community. Our selection policies are carefully crafted to build balanced collections. Allowing the removal of books based on individual objections undermines this professional process and the very purpose of a library.
Dr. Grant raises the banner of intellectual freedom, and it's a principle we all respect. However, in the context of K-12 education, this freedom isn't absolute. It must be carefully balanced with our duty of care and the age appropriateness of materials. Young minds are still developing, and exposure to certain content without the necessary maturity or contextual understanding can be confusing or even harmful. Our concern is not to suppress ideas wholesale or to prevent students from ever encountering challenging concepts. Instead, it is to ensure that the specific materials available within the school library are suitable for the particular age group that library serves, be it elementary, middle, or high school students. Therefore, to label every decision to remove a book as quote-quote censorship is, I believe, an oversimplification. Sometimes it is a prudent selection decision, reflecting a reassessment of a book's suitability for a specific educational environment or community standard.
Mr. Chen speaks of age appropriateness, and while that is a factor in initial selection, I am concerned when this term is wielded as a pretext to exclude books that authentically represent diverse experiences, tackle challenging social themes, or give voice to minority perspectives. These are often the very books that can foster the greatest understanding and empathy among students. Shielding them excessively does them a disservice. Furthermore, there's a significant distinction between the initial selection process for new materials and the act of removing a book that has already been professionally vetted and included in the collection, often due to external pressure or complaints. The latter, in most instances, clearly constitutes censorship. It sends a chilling message about which stories are acceptable and which are not. And this leads to the critical slippery slope question. If we start removing books based on specific objections, however sincere, where does this process end? Who ultimately decides what is appropriate for all students, and based on whose subjective criteria will these decisions be made?
Thank you both for those compelling rebuttals. Mr. Chen, a question for you. How can schools ensure that the process for reviewing and potentially removing books is transparent, fair, and based on established educational criteria, rather than becoming a reaction to a vocal minority or specific pressure groups?
That's a very pertinent question, Ms. Reed. Transparency and fairness are paramount. We advocate for clearly defined, board-approved policies that outline the process for reconsidering materials. This process should involve a committee of educators, librarians, and sometimes parents, using specific criteria related to educational relevance, accuracy, and age appropriateness, not personal opinions. The goal is a deliberative process, not a knee-jerk reaction. All stakeholders should understand how decisions are made.
Dr. Grant, while intellectual freedom is undoubtedly paramount in a library setting, how do you propose addressing what many parents feel are legitimate concerns about content they deem genuinely harmful or inappropriate for their individual child, even if not for all children?
That's a concern librarians take very seriously. We believe in empowering parents, not disempowering them. Most school libraries have policies that allow parents to request alternative assignments or readings for their own child if they have specific objections to a particular book. This respects individual parental authority without imposing those views on the entire student body. The solution is individual accommodation, not wholesale removal of resources that can be valuable to other students. Open communication between parents, teachers, and librarians is key here.
A question for both of you now. Where do we draw the line between responsibly protecting students from genuinely inappropriate material and limiting their access to a wide range of ideas that are crucial for preparing them for a complex and diverse world?
It's a delicate balance, admittedly. For us, the line is drawn where material is pervasively vulgar, educationally unsuitable for the age group, or lacks any redeeming literary or educational merit according to established professional guidelines and community consultation. It's not about shielding them from reality, but about ensuring that exposure is age-appropriate and constructive within the school's educational mission.
I would argue the line should be drawn very cautiously, with a strong presumption in favor of access. Protection should not mean sanitization. Students are more resilient and capable of critical thought than we often give them credit for, especially with guidance from educators. Limiting access to challenging ideas ultimately hinders their preparation for the realities of the world, rather than protecting them.
In closing, I want to reiterate that the school's foremost duty is to the holistic well-being and appropriate education of our students. This includes creating a learning environment that is not only intellectually stimulating but also safe, supportive, and respectful of the educational values established by the community and, crucially, by parents. The authority for a school to review and, when necessary, remove a book from its library is not about fostering a fear of ideas or suppressing diverse viewpoints across society. It is about providing responsible guidance, ensuring that the materials available are genuinely age-appropriate and align with the educational mission of our public schools. It's about careful stewardship of young minds. Such authority, when exercised judiciously, transparently, and according to clear, educationally sound policies, is not a detriment to learning, but a necessary tool for responsible school governance and for safeguarding the children entrusted to our care.
To conclude, I firmly believe that broad and unrestricted access to a wide array of books and information is absolutely vital for developing critically thinking, empathetic, and informed citizens. School libraries are unique spaces where students learn to navigate different perspectives, to question, to analyze, and to grow intellectually. When we remove books, especially those that challenge us or reflect experiences different from our own, we diminish these learning opportunities. We inadvertently send a chilling message about which voices, which stories, and which ideas are considered valuable, and which are not. This can lead to a narrower worldview and less prepared students. Instead of restricting access, we should focus on teaching critical engagement with texts. Therefore, I urge us to place our trust in the professionalism of librarians to build diverse and appropriate collections, and in the capacity of our students to engage with challenging material thoughtfully, especially when provided with the necessary guidance and context from educators.
Mr. Chen, Dr. Grant, thank you both for your exceptionally insightful and vigorously argued contributions to this important discussion this evening. You've clearly articulated the core tension we face: how to balance the undeniable need to protect students and uphold community educational values with the equally vital principles of intellectual freedom and ensuring access to diverse information. There are clearly no easy answers, and your perspectives have given us all a great deal to consider. We encourage our audience to continue reflecting on the complexities of this issue, which touches the very heart of education and intellectual development. Thank you for joining us.